Welcome to the Diamond Mine Podcast with Nate and Lainey, where we listen to all 92 Diamond albums certified by Billboard. Today's album is
Speakerboxxx / The Love Below
by Outkast.
Yeah. Alright, to get us started, this album, or I guess this double album, was released in 2003. It went 11 times platinum with 40 songs, and it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we endured it all.
And yes, the listening process of this album, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. It took a toll on us.
I mean, you could tell by the end of it we were ready to,
well, I think that the last songs don't really help that. But
That's true.
Either way, we'll move on to that in a long time, because this is a long album. Therefore, you're going to get a long podcast. So,
honestly, thinking about this now, we should have just done a 2-parter.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's all one double album anyway, so...
That's true. We'll just lump it all together. Okay. I'm going to read the Apple Music description of basically how this all kind of came together, and just a synopsis of the album. So, this is what it says. While it showed the growing divide between André 3000 and Big Boy, Outkast's 5th studio effort was a high-water mark for the group, all the same. It was essentially 2 solo albums, André's The Love Below and Big Boy's Speakerboxxx, packaged as a double record. 2 of Outkast's most enduring and innovative tunes are here, with Big Boy's The Way You Move, which is a 70s funk throwback in the style of Cameo and Chic, and Hey Ya, which is André 3000's kaleidoscopic, decade-defining rave-up. That is how they define it here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm spitting bars, Apple Music.
Selling more than 10 million copies, Speakerboxxx in The Love Below was Outkast's least classically hip-hop album to date, which you can tell. You really can. It was an ambitious...
Well, hold on. Let's sound it out.
Amalgam?
It probably means amalgamation. Maybe it like...
Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know. Funk, soul, R&B, disco, and rock. And then in parentheses it says, try classifying the snarky kiss-off roses. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, in mashing up so many sounds so successfully, the album closed the door on hip-hop's boom-bap 90s period, ushering in an era of sonic cross-pollination between hip-hop and pop that persisted into the next decade. Awarded a Grammy for Album of the Year in 2004, this was one of Outkast's and pop music's finest hours.
Now,
wow.
I am not going to deny, Apple Music kind of hits it on the tee. This is a very influential album.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did not enjoy this album nearly as much as I thought I was going to.
I agree with you. I had high expectations. However, I will say, I do talk about this in my notes that I wrote down, but the blendability and the entire composure of each song included, even like the interludes and stuff, is very creative and innovative, like it says, and it did lead to a completely different era of music. Mm-hmm. But listening to over 2 hours of this straight...
Well, we did have a pause in between albums. We did have like a 15, 20-minute pause in between the albums.
It should have been longer, honestly,
yeah.
But it made it not as enjoyable because it made my head feel very full.
Yes.
Because there were so many sounds. Especially
since,
Big Boy's. His was like crazy.
We had to... it would be one thing if we could just like listen and then be like, oh, that song was cool or that song wasn't cool. But we have to listen and process our thoughts and write them into notes. So it's not like our brains could really rest. Our brains were just going on and on and on and on with music for about 2.5 hours. So
that is true. But with all that being said, you want to just go ahead and get into it?
Okay, so this is the intro of...
Oh, wait, we will say, though, that we listened to all of this in its entirety together, but then I did Big Boy Speakerboxxx and kind of looked in and looked up,
researched.
and then Nate took André 3000's The Love Below.
Yes.
And did his research.
So she's going to be leading the conversation. This is a lot of preamble for such a long podcast that's ahead. But she's going to be leading most of the conversation for Speakerboxxx.
Right.
And I'm going to be leading most of the conversation for The Love Below.
Mm-hmm.
But just because we're like leading the conversation doesn't mean that I'm not going to have things to add for,
right.
Speakerboxxx.
We still wrote notes.
Yeah, so
let's just get into it.
Actually, if you want to start and you start with what you have to say about like each song on Speakerboxxx, and I'll add in at the end. And then you can
bounce.
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
And then I'll start on.
Okay, for the intro, my initial notes, I wrote just an electronic intro with a sick beat, which I feel like was kind of ahead of its time. Because it's like some of the music we listen to now, like Billie Eilish has stuff like this. There's a band I listen to called Ultra Q. They do stuff like this. And then Genius Lyrics basically just said, the introduction to Speakerboxxx, which calls itself a test, there are no real lyrics, and it's just an amazing instrumental that sounds like a compilation of a ton of samples, which is pretty spot on.
Yes. I said this sounded like something that would be on someone's like huddle highlights over them like shooting basketball or something.
Oh my gosh.
I do have one more thing to add. I'm sorry. I know I'm trying to get into the music, but with the substance of what these two albums are about, it's going to be kind of hard to keep some of the stuff we're talking about tame. If you get what I'm saying.
There are some explicit subjects.
Yes.
And a lot of the language in these songs too.
And
which we'll try to refrain from using.
Yeah, we try to keep the podcast
pretty PG-13.
Yes, I mean with some like suggestive themes, but literally like some of the names of these songs are like raunchy, so it's gonna be kind of hard to avoid that. But now I think we've got it all out of the way.
Yeah. So moving on to the first full song, the second song on this album is Ghetto Music. My notes I'll start with again. There's kind of a buzzing in the background with a very fast-paced beat. Mm-hmm. It was very repetitive in the beginning, and then it like took a break with a synth organ, and there's echoing going on, and then the beat picks back up, and they're rapping and singing, and it's really funky, and I feel like people would like do the crunk dancing to this. You know what I'm talking about?
Crunk ain't dead.
Yeah. and then it slows down again, and it has like a high-pitched nasally voice that at first I thought was a woman, but I think it was just, I don't know if it was André 3000. I think it was, but it was just a very nasally, like high pitch. Like they either edited it like that, or they somehow got their voice to be like that. And then it picks back up again. This is a wild song. Like I said, Big Boy really.
There were many beat switches.
Yeah, he mixed a lot in here. He hits the lyrics really hard, though. And then there was, like, that snake charmer. What instrument is that?
Shoot. I mean, I think it's technically just, like, called a flute, but it's not, like, one of the flutes that
But it's, like, it looks like a clarinet, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, almost like a recorder looking thing. Yeah.
And he kind of had that sound. And then I wrote that it was very chaotic, but I thought in a good way.
Chaotic is the best word to describe this song.
Yeah. I did enjoy it, but I didn't really catch all of the lyrics. Now, going into Genius, because Nate and I at first, we didn't think that André 3000 was on Big Boy's part and that Big Boy was on Andre's really that much. But this song, André 3000 actually sang a good majority of it. But then Big Boy came in with like the post-chorus. And then it also says Patti LaBelle. So maybe that's the woman's voice I was hearing. I don't really know, but that was very interesting to hear. But I tried to look it up, and there were no, like, facts about the song. I think it was just them, like, doing their thing, having a good time, like, expressing themselves kind of thing. So, you can interject with anything.
I mean, it's techno, it's funky, it's just super different. There isn't, like, much, what is the word I'm looking for? There isn't much, It throws different things at you. There's not much conformity in this. It doesn't conform to a style. The beat switch ups and everything. It's super super duper chaotic. So that's the best way I could describe this. So
and building off of what you said, like there are a lot of switch ups and everything, but they made it flow. Like they made it. It didn't sound like it was a poor production.
Yeah.
I mean, it was well done. It was just so much to take in into one song.
Chaotic is like a negative connotation word, and I'm not meaning chaotic in a bad way. Chaotic in just like a you don't know what to expect type of deal.
And there was just a lot happening in this song, basically. But like I said, chaos in the best way. But for the next song, it is Unhappy. Okay. So, the beginning, it was kind of like he was reading a poem. And it made me think of like slam poetry or something like that.
Yeah.
And it also reminded me of the song California Love by Tupac.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that song bangs.
Of course. And then it has like a fast rap that I would typically associate with Outkast, kind of.
Yes.
You know, and then the beat was relatively mellow and smooth, though. And then I said that the outro was nicely layered. And then Genius didn't have anything for this one, but I went onto the songmeanings.com or whatever where people post their comment.
Yeah.
Because this is all I could find. And people thought this was an incredible song. It should have been a single. But this one person pretty much summed it up and described it. And I'll read their thing verbatim. So it says, "Let me first say that Big Boy is an excellent lyricist. His lyrics are so sparse yet so dense. He has several messages intertwined in the short song. It's a message to all of the so-called thugs who think that it's summertime and living easy. These are the ones who are out there on the streets making quick money and living the high life with friends," and friends in like quotations, "and material possessions. All is well until they get caught. It's too late when they realize that when all of those things disappear, they are left to face the music alone. He's also telling us, by sharing his violent and sad childhood, that life is going to throw several curveballs at you. Instead of crumbling under the devastation and sadness, you must persevere through it all." And that's all I have.
Okay, my notes do not get that deep. I said this sounds like something you would hear while riding in a Cadillac with an intricate hydraulic system, like one of those ones that bounces up and down.
Yeah.
And I just wrote that Big Boy's much more of a rapper, in my opinion, than André 3000 is. I feel like he is just spitting these fast flows, and André 3000 doesn't do that as much. And maybe that's just because
Andre's like more of the singer.
Andre's most popular song, or Outkast's most popular song, is "Hey Ya," and that is on this album. And on this album, they kind of stray away from strictly hip hop. So maybe that's why I have that inclination in my brain that André doesn't rap as much as Big Boy, but Big Boy just is constantly spitting, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with what he's saying. So that's all I got.
And in this album, André gets into like the kind of comedic thing.
Yes. Oh, dude, André 3000's funny.
But we'll get into that one later. The next song is Bowtie. This one was very funky, jazzy. It sounds like they're truly enjoying themselves. It's easily a song that can be played at a prom or wedding or something if people didn't want just the basic, crap that they always play.
Like the stuff off the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. Oh!
Hey, but that album was not that bad, though.
Okay, yeah.
But I did really like this one. And then Genius lyrics. It just says, "Big Boy getting his bow tie on," and it's a picture of Big Boy, like, with his bow tie. You all can look it up. But then below it says, "Off Big Boy's half of Outkast's Grammy-winning double album, we find these Southerners getting ladies and looking exceptionally good while doing it. One might even say they were feeling fresh and clean." And that's all it says.
Well, what I got to say is, it's very funky. This isn't what I expected from this album. They got a lot of brass and stuff in the back. This isn't like traditional hip hop or rap, which I was kind of expecting something, at least more from like Big Boy's half. I was expecting more stuff that's similar to like Miss Jackson, maybe like his verses on Miss Jackson and stuff like that. And not really. This album gets funky and dabbles in some like bluesy funk 70s elements. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Which we will get into with this next song, "The Way You Move," featuring Sleepy Brown. For my notes, they're actually relatively short, but I just said that the beat is like Fergie's Glamorous. And I've definitely heard this one before. This one was very popular from Big Boy's side. I think it was right under Hey Ya, when it was like, on the charts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I know that this is in a movie, but I cannot think of the movie. So if you all know, let us know. But it's extremely catchy. I really loved this one, obviously. The chorus really just comes at you. It's like they turn up the decibel levels for the chorus. And like the verses they keep at a normal or like a quieter level. Now, the interesting part that we found out right before we started this podcast.
Now, it all circles back.
It all circles back. Earth, Wind, and Fire and Kenny G covered this song.
Kenny G. It all goes back to number 92. Kenny G.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Kenneth Gorlick.
I just
Golly.
don't get it.
What a mastermind.
And I know, but then Genius Lyrics, they said for this song, hold on, let me find it really quick. Okay, so Sleepy Brown is a frequent collaborator. The Way You Move spent 8 weeks at the number 2 position on Billboard Hot 100 behind Hey Y'all, one of the longest runs at that position in the chart's history. It finally peaked at number 1 on February 14th, 2004.
Interesting.
Valentine's Day. Where it stayed for 1 week. That was the 6th time a recording act has replaced itself on the Billboard Pop chart. And then in 2019, Big Boy performed this, like an abbreviated version of the song, at the Super Bowl with Adam Levine.
I didn't know he was at the Super Bowl
for the Maroon 5. Yeah, I do not remember that.
I don't remember that either.
But that's all I have if you want to put your stuff.
The chorus is funky again. If you really think of what kind of music is being made at this point in time, this is so experimental. Like,
because it came out in 2003, so you know, influenced by the 90s, has that early 2000s twist coming into play at this point.
Like, I don't know. I just can't think of anything from around there that sounds like this.
It's all crazy. It's just crazy.
I don't really have a lot, but it just amazes me how experimental this is.
Mm-hmm. The next song is The Rooster. I wrote that they really like brass instruments for this song because they repeatedly, trumpets were very prominent throughout some of their work, especially on this half of the album. They did mention Miss Jackson in this song.
Yes, that I remember I got hyped when I heard that.
I know, it was like a little shout out to themselves. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And this one to me, I thought was just genius because of everything they did throw into the song. And it reminds me of a song from a video game soundtrack because of like certain beats and how they mixed it together. And I think it's because of like the brass and piano included and how they just let it all flow. It says Genius Lyrics. So let me get through all of the stuff and actually get to the substance. Okay, so in this, Big Boy raps about his family problems, specifically the problems with his ex-wife. The title of the song ties with the chorus and the rooster-like sounds throughout the song, but the connection between the rap content and a rooster is open to multiple interpretations. And the jazz-influenced beat of the rooster was produced by Carl Moe, who also produced The Way You Move and Knowing off of the Speakerboxxx album. And that's all I have.
The only thing I really have to say is I like that their beats are real instruments sometimes and not just like computer-generated sounds. I just think that's a really nice touch.
Which is, honestly, you hear that a lot now.
Yeah.
Where it's not genuine, it's not real.
Yeah, it's just nice to have that little flair thrown in there. It's like, oh, an actual instrument. That's awesome. So, yeah.
The next song is Bust featuring Killer Mike.
Uh-oh. Killer Mike goes in. You can tell his name is Killer Mike.
Yes, he has that name for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah. This one reminds me... Oh, this one reminds me... You might know the name of the track, but the Boo course in Mario Kart, like on the Wii, you know what I'm talking about? It's like the haunted one.
On the Wii?
Yeah.
Oh, what is that called? It's literally on the tip of my tongue. Hold on, continue and I'll remember it.
Okay, well, that's what it reminds me of, and... Honestly, this song just it goes straight to it. You know, there's lots of layers, and it sounds just like pure, like dirty. You know.
Okay, this might be the one from the N64, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's good.
There was one that was called Banshee Boardwalk, but I think that's from the N64. Let me look that up. You continue now.
I know Boardwalk, but I don't. I don't think it's called that. I think that is from the N64.
Yeah, Banshee Boardwalk is N64.
Okay, just look at the Wii one. But it sounds like someone's like kissing in this one, and I didn't like that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why that bothered me, but I don't like that noise. But the voices, I mean, mixed really well with the music. And then Killer Mike, I mean, like we said, he has that name for a reason. He just goes for it. And there's like a little guitar outro for this one. Sounded quite nice. Have you found it yet?
What would I look that up as? Like course? Like the...
Boo Course Mario Kart Wii, maybe?
Mario Kart Wii Boo Stage, maybe? Stage?
Yeah, maybe.
It is... Hold on.
Please.
Hold on. I'm literally going on to... It's on the Shell Cup. What is this called? Hold on. It's getting there. But I also actually wrote, which is interesting. I also wrote that this kind of sounds like a ghost. Like the beat kind of sounds like a ghost.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's getting there.
The theme.
It's getting there. No.
You passed it.
I passed it. I need to go to when they're selecting. If you have anything to talk about, just.
Oh yeah, I can do the genius.
Yes.
But
Ghost Valley 2 is what
Ghost
this says.
Valley. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, that is what it is. Finally got that figured out. Okay, so this features a guest verse from fellow Dungeon family member, Killer Mike, and is written by the two as well as Myrna Peaches Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm.
The song is produced by Big Boy himself, and then Bust was released along with its parent album on September 23rd, 2003 on LaFace Records and Arista Records.
I don't know.
The song's lyrics feature Big Boy and Killer Mike flaunting their style. And you can tell because they really just absolutely obliterate it, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. Killer Mike. If y'all haven't heard Killer Mike's voice, so you're not understanding the whole joke, go listen to Bust, and you'll know. You don't even gotta, like, look up the lyrics to see when Killer Mike goes in. You'll know. It's Killer Mike. Because when it happened, me and Lainey were both like, oh that's Killer Mike.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All I've got to say for this, their beats are immaculate. Sounds like ghost sounds in the beginning, bruh.
Yeah.
Dude just is rapping over some glory.
I'm glad we had similar things for that. The next song is War.
Uh-huh.
I hated the whispering part of the song. I'm not gonna lie.
I hate when they whisper in my ears, bruh.
Yeah, but
Makes me uncomfortable.
But then, like, the speed and, like, the lyrics, it all picks up, and it perfectly displays Big Boy's voice and style of music with the quick lyrics. I like the higher-pitched singing that they had going on in the background.
Yeah.
And the break that is in this song sounds like a slow-motion scene in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then it, like, switched the beat and included some snare in there. And honestly, I wish I could produce music like this. Like, yeah, and then there was an echo at the end of the song, too. And they dropped the beat. It was crazy. Honestly, it was just a crazy song. Genius lyrics, though, describes it as this. It says, in one of the more aggressive and outwardly political songs from Big Boy, he takes aim at the Bush administration, the war on drugs, the war in Afghanistan, and the national media. Sir, I might butcher this name, Lucius, lets it rip.
Lets it rip.
Yeah, I shouldn't have stopped right there. With rants about the current state of the country and the misplaced priorities of the politicians running.
I'm sorry. Dude just farted. That's his input on the song.
I just stopped.
Dude, just let it rip.
I was just trying to finish the sentence and cut out some of the stuff, and then I stopped at a poor time. But yeah, so they basically just obliterate the government.
Uh-huh.
Which I probably shouldn't say on a podcast.
Yeah, So, all of their songs up to this point on the album follow the same format. Mm-hmm. It's like Big Boy's got that fast rap going in.
Yep.
And then the chorus has got some high-pitched choir people in the back, like some high-pitched vocals. Maybe a female, maybe just some high-pitched males, I don't know. And then they got some brass on the beat, and that's pretty much how it is, which... It's not horrible. Like, it's not bad. It's just, like, the same kind of format. But that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is... Okay. The next song is Church. There's quick dialogue, and then the killer beat hits. I wrote that this song just hits different in general. But the beat of this song reminds me of Slim Shady by Eminem or My Strange Addiction a little bit by Billie Eilish and Phineas. I love the absolute just belting at the end with the piano that comes in. I really like that. Song meanings, it just says, I think it's pretty self-explanatory in saying that so many people think that they can have forgiveness from God when they just keep doing the same things over and over. It's about true repentance and asking for forgiveness and trying not to sin again.
Yeah, it just kept saying if you're having a bad day, go to church, pretty much.
That was basically the premise of that song.
But this really does sound like some funky church music. I could get down to this. I would be boogieing in the aisleway, you know, boogieing on the pews.
In the pews, yeah.
Throwing it back. But that's about all I got to say about that.
Throwing it back in the house of the Lord. The next one is an interlude. It's called Bamboo.
Yes.
And I thoroughly enjoyed and needed the break that he includes because my mind was melting at this point. And then there was a kid talking, and I was like, wait, okay, so is that one of their kids? And they're having a conversation. It's really wholesome. And so Genius Lyrics basically answers my questions by saying, this is an interlude with Big Boy featuring his son, whose name is Bamboo. And Big Boy is just letting his little boy, spit some bars on this track.
More like Bambooty.
Oh, no.
Oh, brother! This guy stinks!
Oh, brother! And I just ripped my hair out on the chair. Oh my gosh, that hurt.
That is not a perk of us having chairs now.
That hurt it. Anyway, overall, I wrote that I like that Big Boy includes the intro throughout the songs with the Speakerboxxx or whatever.
Oh, dude, that's stuck in my head.
Yeah. Did you have anything to say about Bamboo?
Nah, he's just talking about wanting to rap and stuff, and yeah.
Okay.
You hit it on the head.
Great. Fantastic. Next song is Tomb of the Boom, featuring Concrete, Big Gip Jip. Couldn't tell you. I'm sorry I didn't look that up. And Ludacris.
Hey!
This one, I said that it really just sounds like they got their friends together and they put their creative ideas into one song and they just came up with the lyrics. And they're just enjoying themselves. And what I found for this one, I need just a moment.
So how y'all doing today? Follow us on Twitter, TDMPod, TDMPOD. You'll get updates on when the albums come out, or not albums, the podcasts come out and stuff. We got a pretty nice viewership on the last podcast. I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, if you want to tweet at us or anything, TDMPod, TDMPOD. You found it?
Yeah, okay, so nothing was on Genius, so I went to song meanings, and there was nothing really on there. People were just saying that Big Boy really killed his lyrics. People were saying it was ghetto, and that was explanation enough. So I don't really know. It really just sounded like they were all getting together and just came up with something. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Do you have anything for that song?
This is more of an electronic beat instead of real instruments, which isn't necessarily bad. I like when there's real instruments, but I mean it's not bad that it's electronic. And they've had a lot of features from people I've never heard of before, but I have indeed heard of Ludacris. So that was really Ludacris random.
Anyway, I think I zoned out during this song. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I don't have a lot of notes for it.
You're right.
Then the next one is an interlude called EMAC, and it's basically just a deep voice spinning rhymes. That's what I wrote.
I wrote hood poetry, period.
And there was no explanation or anything to that. It was just...
Ain't no need for an explanation. It's just EMAC.
Right,
it's that electronic mac and cheese.
Oh, brother! This guy stinks!
2 in a podcast. Jeez.
I have a feeling there will be more because this is a very, very long
Dude,
podcast.
We are already at 877 measures because we record on GarageBand, so it doesn't do time, it does measures, which I'm sure somehow we can make it do time.
I haven't seen it get this high in a very long time.
We haven't made it to 1,000 since probably Matchbox 20.
That was a 50-minute podcast. No one's going to listen to this one because it's going to be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Crap. So
that's all right.
With that being said, let's get on with it. Knowing is the next song. I didn't have a lot to say. I just said that I like the high-pitched wood block or whatever instrument they were using for the main beat, and it's pretty straightforward and consistent with lyrics and beat overall. And then I looked it up. Let me find the thing real quick. It was on Genius Lyrics, and the only thing that it mentions is that this song is also referred to as The Art of Storytelling Part 3, which was written on Big Boy's SoundCloud.
Huh. How about that?
Yeah.
This one has a lot of references to other songs, like Little Red Corvette, and then he says the slob on my knob bar, which, I caught that, but that's all I have to say. I'm trying to get through this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Next song, Flip Flop Rock with Killer Mike again.
More Killer Mike.
And Jay-Z.
I'm not complaining about Killer Mike.
I wrote spitting bars, kicking beat. I like the maraca sounding beat included. The fast pace takes the song to the next level.
Jay-Z goes in.
He really does. Genius Lyrics is where I got this information. And, it says that he brings along Killer Mike and Jay-Z for the ride. The song is about, as gathered from all three of their verses, flip-flopping many things, such as racial stereotypes, flows and rapping styles, as well as shoes and clothes. So that's your little fun fact for that one. Do you have anything to...
I've sprinkled it out through you talking, so...
Great. All right. And then I just wrote that I'm glad there are interludes to give your mind a break from the absolute chaos that takes over in these songs.
I agree.
With that being said, there was an interlude, and it was very electronic sounding with a simple narration, and Genius Lyrics just says, this interlude is about the... why is my brain not working? Can you say that?
Longevity, yeah.
Thank you, dear Lord. Of Big Boy and André 3000's career and discography. I don't know what is wrong with me.
Are you serious?
Dude, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me right now.
Hey, if you've made it this far in the podcast, you're a pimp. Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Continue.
If you've made it this far, you got to the good song, and that's Reset, featuring Cujo Goody and CeeLo.
CeeLo Green.
It all goes back to CeeLo, too.
CeeLo Green has probably been on... the more Diamond albums, like featured on more Diamond albums than anybody.
I know, and my favorite part is that he just is always relevant, even when he's not relevant.
Yes.
Who knows where CeeLo Green is now? Nobody. We've mentioned him several times, whether he's been on an album or not. And here we go.
CeeLo.
It always comes back to Kenny G.
And CeeLo.
CeeLo Green. This one is just the dial-up and dice sound. I imagine them doing the ham-boning thing where they slap their knees and their shoulders and stuff. I like that it's a little bit more mellow and smooth, suave, silky, whatever you want to call it. And then CeeLo Green raps on this song, and that made my day, honestly. Now, Genius Lyrics had a lot to say about this, so I will try to get through it very quickly. So, Big Boy recruits longtime Dungeon family members Cujo Goody and CeeLo Green of the Goody Mob for the song about starting over clean, or resetting, after many mistakes. Between the time of Outkast's previous album, which is 2000 Stankonia, and then this album, CeeLo dissed the Goody Mob's third album, which was 1999's World Party, and he subsequently began his solo career, causing a rift between himself and the group. And this was CeeLo's first collaboration with any member since that happened. And he said the following regarding his involvement in Reset. He said, I got the invite to come and be a part of it. Typically, I would go in and I would pick something, but this time, Big Boy just had me in mind. I think he just felt really strongly that this was a record that would just suit me, and he was right. Thank you, Big Boy, for your great taste. When you're presented with an ultimatum like that, you just want to deliver. You know what I mean? Me reading his quote is really
Hey, we broke a K. Continue.
Oh, Neptune, okay. I just definitely wanted to step up and deliver. That's really what the simple motivation is, and then I just began to reflect on things that were immediate in my everyday life. I think in some type of roundabout way, it was kind of an opportunity for all of us to showcase together. Me and Goody we were at industrial odds, not internal odds. We were never uncool. We were always family. With family, you have that sibling rivalry, that internal riffing, and that's to be expected. We're all men, all individuals. They have different opinions, priorities, different focuses, different flaws. And then Cujo Goody added how the song's theme, fit his life after he had part of his right leg amputated due to a car accident in 2002. Did not know that. And he just said that particular song definitely fit the way my life was going at the time because I had to reset. I had to go back in and rethink some things. I had to reevaluate myself and had to get back in there, get back to my job. CeeLo wasn't on the song yet, and I think that Big Boy was already on the song, and the hook was too. Once I heard the hook, I started vibing with it. I was like, man, this would go perfect with what I'm going through right now. And that's all of it.
True. Great words from a great man. Continue. I don't have much to say.
Okay, the next one is D-Boy, which is an interlude. And it was basically just them like talking or telling a story for 40 seconds.
Yes.
And then Genius basically just said that the song is a 40-second interlude performed by comedian Henry Welch. And I can read it to you if it doesn't say anything inappropriate. Hold on. Okay. Hanging out with the D-Boys. You know you a D-Boy, because when someone fronting something's like having two daddies. One time my homeboy fronted me at 8 ball at 3 o'clock. At 4:30 he wanted the money back. It's rough being on that thing, man. How you gonna front me? Somebody done fronted you. He ain't no real hustler. The dude's shooting at both of us. Hit you with a £quarter talking about we coming up. A real D-boy. No, you gotta get your own work. And you don't get high off your own supply till later on that night. I gotta drop off about 30 keys, car keys. And there you have it, folks. That's all I have.
So, alrighty. D-Boy.
How many songs do I have left? Okay.
You only have 2. Okay, and I'm
great.
going to fly through mine, so.
Fantastic. The next song is Last Call with Slim Calhoun, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys.
Lil Jon?
And
We about to get crunk.
Okay. Okay, so. Here's what I said for this one. Love the reverb, funky with the bass, bringing the brass back in. Really like this beat and overall flow of the song. I really missed Lil Jon yelling. Enjoyed the slap bass at the end.
Word.
And then, I really didn't find any information for this song. They're just having a good time, growing crazy. There's a lot of explicit...
Little drinking song.
There's a lot of explicit stuff in here that I'm not going to read. Now, the last song for this first, half of the album, song number 19, is Bowtie Postlude. And honestly, it sounds like they just sucked helium out of a balloon. And it ends with the, intro clip. I looked it up. Speakerboxxx. And then I looked it up on Genius. It's a silly little track with the instrumental and high-pitched voice from Bowtie.
Facts.
That's it.
Okay, so I'm going to say, before I get into this, I much preferred Big Boy's album. I'm not going to lie, and most people would disagree with me and say that André 3000's was better. From what I've researched and stuff, is a lot of people liked Andre's better.
I like Big Boy's content more.
I liked Big Boy's album much better than I liked Andre's.
Yeah.
Either way, though, I'm going to summarize. This is my plan. I'm going to summarize what this album is about, because this album follows a story. Right. And we're just going to go through the songs as quickly as possible, and I'm just going to hit on what they mean, and you can say what you want to say, and I can say what I want to say.
Right. All right.
So, basically, he starts off, and he's, unsatisfied. He wants to find love, and so he finds a girl, and he has a one-night stand with her, and it develops into a relationship, and they become parents, but when they get to know each other, they realize she wasn't the chosen one. And so, then he gets involved in a second relationship with a cougar, and he ends up getting married, and at the same time, he gets a letter from the baby mama saying she still loves him. The marriage later also turns sour, since they can't be themselves around each other, therefore, his quest for love is met with failure. By the end of the album, he's ending up alone. So,
crazy
the Love Below
story.
intro, it's, pianos and a deep voice singing. Some say Atlanta, some say New York, some say Paris, France, but who knows where this flower grows. So he's basically saying, where does love grow? Where am I going to find love? His original concept for this album was the protagonist, which some people call ice cold, because what's cooler than being cool? Ice cold.
Ice cold.
But the protagonist in this album was going to be just in Paris, France, and every song was going to be a different girl. But he ended up not going with that. So that's why it says Paris, France. But if you have anything to say, go on.
I just said that I like the nice classical approach with piano and strings, and it was a very soothing break from what we had just endured.
Yes. Okay, next song, Love Hater. There's some crazy wah-wah guitar going on, little jazz drums. It's almost like he's singing over Frank Sinatra stuff with like a falsetto. That like 20s crooner type songs. It has some funny bars, but basically he's saying he needs to be loved, but he hates love because he can't find it.
Ooh. Interesting. My notes, these are probably the best notes that I wrote for this entire album.
Uh-huh.
It says, straight up nasty guitar with pure chaos, then it comes together to form a jazz band. Falsetto singing, very different from the first album, raunchy breakdown.
Yes. Okay, God interlude. Okay, so this is another interlude. He's praying to God about some chick. He wants somebody to love, but they don't have to be extravagant. He even says that they don't have to have a massive booty. They can just have like an okay booty, you know?
What a man.
So, I think the one note I want to make about this song before I hand it off to you is at the end he says, Amen. Oh, wait, I mean, Ah Lady. And I thought that was hilarious because I looked at all the lyrics for every one of these songs because I did my own research and then looked at the Genius and then looked at song meanings and blogs and all that. I did some serious research for
You
this.
did more than me.
If you have anything to say.
I just said this had the soothing guitar picking, like, you're in a big group prayer at youth camp, and they're playing the guitar over.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm
facts.
talking about? Yeah, and he sounded like Mr. Rogers when he talked.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue.
Is that all you got?
Yeah.
Okay, Happy Valentine's Day. He's talking about Valentine's Day and how people don't express their feelings anymore. At this point, I was like, oh, this album is going to be about love. It's going to be about him finding love and all that, and this is where I picked up on that. So, pretty much he's just saying how people don't express their feelings anymore and how they just put up a front and don't really show their true self with love. You have anything?
That's a fair message. I just said that I like the clapping for the beat, and this one really just sounds like André and how he really gets into it. And Andre's side, it really I like how it starts to sound at this point.
Yes. Okay, next song, Spread. It's got a little saxophone going on. Goes with like the funky thing that Big Boy was going with, but Big Boy was more brass. This is more like jazzy rather than funk. But still a little bit like 70s type vibe. The verses at this point for me had been kind of underwhelming, but I really liked the choruses because they were fun. Yeah. But I mean, he found a girl that he's digging, and I don't have any other way to say it. He wants them legs spread. So,
that's why the name of the song is that. Also, yes. I just realized that the titles you have to read. Yes. I just wrote, sax, organ, love the beat, reminds me of kind of like dubstep, André really spits and brings it, his iconic voice into the chorus. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the next song, Where Are My Panties? André 3000 is funny. This is a very funny song.
The dialogue.
So, André basically just had a one-night stand with this girl, and it's the morning after, and the girl's like, oh man, he's gonna think I'm a hoe. And then Andre's like, I don't even care if you're a hoe, girl. I kind of like you. And so, it alludes to the fact that André thinks that every single time he has a one-night stand that the girl could be the one, and he's wondering if this girl is the one the morning after.
Yeah, because I wrote that this dialogue just killed me. Because it was them laying in bed after the one-night stand. And it was both of their thoughts. And so they were reading it out loud. And then the ice cold was mentioned, you know, in this song or whatever. And oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
Okay, so the next song is Prototype. He's hoping this chick's the one. He fell in love with the chick he had the one-night stand with. Mm-hmm. This is very funky. This is not what I expected when I had stepped into this album. I was expecting, rap. I was expecting Outkast music. This is Outkast music, but, you know what I'm getting at. He fell hard. He's trying to go to the movies with her and stuff, so...
The movies. Is that all?
Yep.
All right, yeah. So I kind of thought this sounds like how alternative songs sound today.
Yes.
So they're really ahead with that. I really liked, how his voice and the echo kind of takes away from that alternative song and it transforms into something else. The simple beat kicks in and it takes it up a notch. Kind of sounds like suction cups. Like when SpongeBob's walking on the ceiling. And then, 70s funk. And my favorite part of the song is probably just the guitar,
Okay.
So
Next song, She Lives in My Lap. This is when I started thinking the songs were getting stupid. This is a consistent
Except
complaint.
for Hey Y'all.
Yes, and Roses. This is a consistent complaint I'm gonna have with this album is that it's very formulaic in the sense of how Big Boys is, except it's not. I don't like the formula. Like, it's so repetitive. All of it's falsetto, and not all of it, but most of it's like falsetto stuff.
It's very André 3000.
Yes, and this is where I realized we need if you want an Outkast album, you need both Big Boy and André 3000 on the song.
We needed Killer Mike.
Yeah, I needed some Killer Mike in my life. Right. But they're friends with benefits, but neither of them are committed, and they'll maybe marry in the future, ? But this is also his take on Prince's song, She's Always in My Hair, so I thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Okay, wait, who's this featuring? Is it Rosario? Anyway, was it a girl? I can't remember.
I'm sure, yeah.
I liked their singing, whoever it was. I genuinely don't remember the song. I wrote that I hate the laughs at the beginning of the song. I don't know why. I think it was a girl, but I don't know why. But this song actually reminded me of Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. So. Rolling down the street, smoking Indo. Okay. That's all you got to say?
Yeah.
Okay, next song. Hey Y'all. The classic, 2, 3, the funky, upbeat song, just a vibe. And I bet by the tone of the song and that most people have listened to this, you wouldn't guess that this song was about people who stay together even though they're unhappy in the relationship, but people are basically like, y'all are meant to be together, you gotta stay together, and then they're unhappy for the rest of their life. That's what this song is about.
If you actually know the lyrics, it does make sense.
This song is a very good song.
I love songs that do that, though, where they trick you with the, the instrumental and stuff.
This is a bop, dude. I love this song.
This is where we just really woke up from our bored trances and kind of enjoyed it a little bit, this song is obviously iconic, and it's played a lot. It's probably overplayed, if we're being honest, but it's an incredible song. That's all I wrote.
Okay, the next song is Roses, and this is the song that has been playing on my phone the most ever since we listened to this album, or these two albums. I really, 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 really liked Roses. It's got a bluesy piano opening. He's got into some chick that thinks she's just great. So this is the only song on the album with Big Boy. This is the only song on this album that features Big Boy. André and Big Boy are basically fighting for the affection of Caroline, who's pretty with a bad attitude. And it's kind of a play on the movie West Side Story.
Okay, interesting. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have too. Good stuff, honestly. Roses, I felt like I was walking into a jazz club, and then it just cuts, and there's another simple beat. But it was great. It was fantastic. And I absolutely wrote in all caps that I loved the chorus. And that's all I wrote.
Okay, the next song is Good Day, Good Sir. And basically, this is an interlude. This is kind of weird. They were just talking all fancy and stuff. And I had to just look at the lyrics, because literally nobody on the face of the planet is talking about this interlude. Basically...
How?
I don't know.
He does a British accent.
He does a British accent, and they're talking about there's this chick that's about to pull up, and she's just fine. And he's spectacular, and it was really weird play on words, but she's fine, but they also call her the name Fine, so I don't know if that's her name in the story of the album or whatever, but yeah.
At first what really caught my attention was the violin, but then I'm pretty sure in the song they mention a fiddle, which I get technically are two different things, but whatever. I just wrote, it's fancy man dialogue, fine dining and breathing, and women, evidently. They have horrible British accents, and then there's, like, the crowd laughing. And then they have a brilliant segue into the next song.
Yeah, that's what I was about to talk about.
And they say, like, behold, a lady.
Which the next song is called Behold a Lady. Right. So, he found a sophisticated girl. You know, he's wanting his ideal woman, and that's pretty much what this song is about, is he's wanting this sophisticated person he can settle down with. This is the point where I'm like, this album is not doing good for me. I really thought this album was going to be so much better.
You really took a turn.
Yes, Lainey can attest, because I probably can't even explain how upset I was listening to this album, because I was just so blinded by, like, the rage of the fact that I was sitting there listening to it. There's certain songs on this album that are just repetition and high falsetto over, like, jazzy, brassy stuff, that there's so much of that formula that I just couldn't stand it towards the end of this.
But it wasn't classical. It was their weird, like, classical hip-hop twist.
Yeah, it was almost like they were just talking sometimes over these beats, though.
Yeah.
But you can...
This song, more than any other song on the album, I feel like was the very late 90s, early 2000s sounding. It honestly was not my favorite at all, and it was too repetitive for my liking.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of these... Yeah. Okay, the next song is Pink and Blue. And I originally thought that, they had a baby. But...
You weren't too far off, though.
I mean, if you want to take it that way, maybe...
Because they do mention it in the...
Yes, and it begins with baby crying, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But he's fantasizing about an older woman that he is a baby compared to. And that's why there's the baby crying and stuff. This is the point... I'm not going to read my direct quote because I was mad, so I used expletives in my notes.
Yeah.
But I said, this is not fun to listen... How is this Diamond? This is not fun to listen to a dude talking in falsetto over some lame drums and didgeridoo expletive. You can fill in the blanks.
Oh, wow. You really didn't like this.
Yeah.
I said that I like the lack of lyrics in the beginning because I was just listening and existing at this point, and I was really tired of hearing the same voice over and over again, like you said. But it was kind of like a weird beat that they had going. And then, the singing is simple, which was refreshing, and it gave my mind a little break, but honestly, this album just needed to end.
Outkast needs Big Boy and André 3000 together. I think Big Boy can hold himself more... solo, but... Well,
maybe that's why you liked Big Boy's a little bit better, though, because it did have Andre on it.
Yes.
But Big Boy was not on Andre's, except for the one time.
Yeah, but I feel like they need to be together, and that's what makes it... That's what makes them Outkast.
And that's why this album was the beginning of their demise, basically. Yes. Because they started to break and split and take a hiatus, whatever.
Okay, the next song, Love and War. It's a ballad about the battlefield of love. That's literally all I could find.
Yep.
But this is also another rant, and you can see how much I wrote just ranting.
Oh, wow.
I said, there is so much repetition. This album is not fun. Big Boys went by so much faster. This is the album that doesn't end. It's 7:30 p.m., and we started doing podcast-related stuff today at 1 p.m. I can't do this anymore. Hey Y'all was fun. Roses was fun. The first song or two on this album was fun. The rest is boring. It's barely even music. It's repetition of the same words over a repeating beat for 3 minutes. Whack expletive album.
I know exactly. Okay. For this one, I mean, I was okay with this one because it had a little bit of a different sound. It had like an oriental, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean. But honestly, at this point, it was all blending together. And I made a note in general saying that I was disappointed by this album. It's good, but I thought it would be better. And maybe that's because we listened to Celine Dion today as well.
Yeah.
And this whole thing is just over 2 hours. And I wrote that you were really just hating it at this point.
So...
this is the song that you weren't far off from with the baby thing. The next one.
She's Alive. It's about... you could take this as they have a kid, which I think is what he meant with the story of the album, but if you took this out of the album and just listened to this on its own, this is about Andre 3000's mom. This is about being a single parent and you can assume that it's about Andre 3000's mom because it says it started in 1975, and that's when Andre 3000 was born. So at this point, I would have rather done anything than finish this album, according to my notes.
Yeah. This song was actually the one that had the babies cry in it.
Yes.
Yeah. I wrote, this is very harsh, but I do not like this at all, but for some reason, it was so bad that I started to like it, like the Nickelback album.
Oh, man, that's rough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andre. The next song is Dracula's Wedding. This has, like, some weird voice filter. He's terrified of starting a new relationship because of the commitment, and she may be everything he's wanted, so he doesn't he'll never be able to break up and not be committed anymore.
I mean, this is perfect for a kicking Halloween party.
Yeah.
And I wrote that I like this one, but I was just too tired to care at this point. So.
The next song, or it's an interlude, it's called The Letter. Sent him a letter. The last girl, the girl that he had the one-night stand with, sent him a letter, and it's basically saying that she still loves him. And so it kind of messes up his relationship with the cougar. And, yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I just wrote, I'm glad this one's short. Okay.
My favorite things. This, we literally had to skip with like a minute and a half left.
We did!
My favorite things, this is just fast drum beat, switching to bass guitar and piano, and the instrument guys are on meth. This is literally only instrumental. There's no lyrics. We skipped halfway through because this was like the...
this is the one that I said it was Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
It was that song, but it sounded like they blended it. My favorite things or whatever. That's what the song was for Mary Poppins. But it sounded like they mixed it with the Powerpuff Girls theme song. And it was extremely unnecessary.
This is summed up... I hated this song, by the way. This song summed up like 30% of my issues with this album. Is that it's just like... way too long for no reason. There's some of these songs that are just repetition that I would have gotten the point of the song and understood the meaning of it in the relation to the album with like 1 minute of the song being there, and it's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'm like, you're just using 2 minutes and 30 seconds to waste my time. I don't need to listen to this anymore. So, you got anything?
Nope.
Alrighty. Take Off Your Cool. Acoustic guitar love song, you know, because this is the Love Below. There's going to be love songs. There's a cow farm. There's going to be cows outside. Basically, they want the lovers to be themselves and stop running because he's failed at love.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that has Norah Jones in it, who is actually a talented artist, whatever. She released...
Actually a talented artist.
Yeah, actually. She released an EP or an album with Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day, if you don't know who that is. And she presents the calmness that this album genuinely needed to prevent everyone from losing their minds. And she brings in the simple guitar playing and is very soothing. And I feel like Andre, as crazy as this sounds, he actually branched out by collaborating with her, which is really weird, but yeah.
Got anything else?
No.
Alright, the next song... Okay, I'm literally not going to be able to avoid talking about nastiness here. The next song is called Vibrate. This song is about masturbation, but it's also about being in control...
Look at the emoji.
It's also about being in control of your own destiny. So, I hated my life listening to this. He failed at finding love, so he jacked off. That's literally the stupidest thing. But it's about being in control of your destiny somehow. I don't know.
Cue Green Day's Long View.
Yeah.
That's just because he's bored. Anyway, I said I like the intro because it kind of sounds like a rewind happening. At this point, I was tired of listening and taking notes. I was really over the day. But this song was 6.5 minutes long. Mm-hmm. It did not need to be that long, dude. He could have cut it at like 1 minute, or just not at all, to be completely honest. Like,
I know he failed at love, and I know, like, if he ain't got a woman, what else is he gonna do? Like, I can assume that.
Yeah, but nobody needed to explicitly... Also, the name of the song, though. It's just
Vibrate,
like... Oh, man.
Okay, the next and the final song
Thank the Lord.
Out of 40. If you stick through 40 songs, you are the pimpinest pimp. Is A Life in the Day of Benjamin Andre. So this ties up the whole entire album and his whole life. It has the thing that says incomplete. What is that called? It's like in parentheses. Because his life isn't done yet. So like that's why it's incomplete. And it ends with that's all I got. And I like that. I like that he said that. And that's all I got so far, pretty much. I was gonna say this is just pure rapping from him. It's not like, and I liked it. I liked the pure rapping, and it wasn't just high pitched falsetto over the same type of beat over and over again, repeating the same 10 words for about 3 minutes too long.
He actually had something to say.
Yes, and I liked it, and it's a shame that I found a song that I liked pretty decently at the end of the album.
When you were already just ready.
Yes, when I was already ready to go to sleep.
Are you done with
your
thing? Okay, so I wrote that this was almost like 5 minutes long, but going off the incomplete thing, I said, wow, I'd hate to hear the complete version. Because imagine how long that would be if it was his whole life, but whatever. I said, thankfully that it was the last song, and it wasn't horrible, so I'm okay with this finish, which is hard to say about most of the albums we do listen to. But, Andre's telling the story like Nate covered, and it was sexual for honestly like no reason.
Andre's a sexual man.
He's also really funny. But...
Yeah.
And he also could have left out quite a bit, and honestly I would probably put this one in the 70s or 80s. Yes,
I would put this album in the 70s or 80s as well.
Yeah.
If it was just Andre's, this would be so low on my list, but Big Boy saves it. It's made it into my 70s. So, pretty much that's all I have to say. TDM Pod on Twitter, TDM POD. What other social medias do we have?
We have a YouTube channel. It's just the Diamond Mine.
It's not updated because we're bums.
There's like 3 episodes.
Yeah, it will be updated eventually.
We'll get it together. We'll include some nice little features and stuff for you guys too. Just not right now.
Catch us on Spotify. Catch us on wherever you're listening to podcasts. Apple. Are we on the Apple podcast thing?
Yeah, that's the biggest one that we have.
Yes. So, yeah. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we'll probably be there. Anything else to say?
No.
All right. Well, this has been the Diamond Mine Podcast with Nate and Lainey. We'll be back at you next time with some Garth Brooks.